What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I finally got around to repainting the yellow wall behind me. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I was just working with what I had, and let's be honest, green, blue, and yellow aren't really complementing colors on the color scale. So you're welcome. I finally got around to it. Hopefully these videos are now going to be more visually appealing and the content just keeps getting better and better. In today's video, we are going to talk about buyer fatigue, buyer exhaustion, buyer burnout, as it's sometimes called, what it is, how it can happen, and how it can really cost you. So before we jump into it, my name's Andre. I'm a real estate agent here in Simcoe County. If you get some value from this video, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're curious for more real estate content or information that I do, details are in the description and more on that at the end of the video. So what is real estate buyer fatigue and how does it happen? Well, it's kind of in the name. It's essentially when buyers view too many homes or offer on too many properties, they get frustrated, mentally exhausted with the entire process. They end up just taking a break, not buying at all, settling for less on a property, or a whole other host of factors. And I say taking a break in quotations because this is the most common rejection that we get. And we've generally found that if you take a break for a short period of time and you lose that momentum and you lose that motivation, it's twice as hard to get back into it. And usually those buyers that say they just want to take a short break end up taking a long break. And if you decide to take a long break from 6 months to a year, then you're just starting from scratch again. When you get back into it, you're going to need a new pre-approval, new stress tests, new market, new prices, and whatever else it might be. Whereas in a good majority of cases, had these buyers avoided real estate buyers fatigue, they would have been able to purchase a property and very likely been in a much better position today had they purchased as opposed to not buying a home. And this fatigue happens because for the majority of people, especially those buying a home for the very first time or buying a home for the first time in a very long time, is physically and mentally a very large undertaking. And it really comes down to your buyer mindset and understanding how the process works. On any given day, there's probably tens, if not hundreds of beautiful homes out there. But you have to understand that for your specific situation, it's different for every single person. 97% of those homes are not going to be suitable for your needs, or they might look nice in photos and they might have nice finishes, but overall the space, the layout, location, and different things like that, they are not meant for you. So you shouldn't just go see them for the sake of seeing them. You need to be specific with what you're going to be looking at when you start your search to avoid getting burnt out really quickly. Because if you compare it to a sport, for example, say you're running all day, you're running miles throughout the day, come the evening and game time, you're not going to have any energy to perform. In the same case, if you're looking at 1, 2, or 3 properties every single day, and that goes on for more than 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be exhausted. And when the time comes, or when a batch of listings or properties hit the market that are actually suitable for you, you're going to be tired and you're just not going to want to do it. And those properties that actually matter and might actually be compatible for you are going to just mix in and seem like the same property you saw the day before and the same property you're going to be seeing the day after. And on the mental aspect of it, we found that buyers who want to see everything that's available before making a decision not only have the toughest time making a decision, they don't know what they want and they can't even remember what they liked or didn't like about all the properties that we've seen. And I totally get it. It's tough to remove that mental blockade and learn to let go for all these beautiful properties listed. I've seen time and time again where we're working with first-time home buyers and we see 5 properties, under 5 properties, and the 3rd or 4th one is like perfect for them. And we're telling them, hey, do you want to offer on this property? It kind of suits all your needs. And they say, well, we've only seen 5. Like, we feel like we need to see like 5 or 15 more just to get an idea of what we want or just to be ready to purchase. And after that whole cycle goes through, they end up buying within the same neighborhood or within the same style that the first properties they went to see were. In one case in 2019, before kind of everything went crazy, they ended up buying the first or second or third property that we ended up seeing ever after seeing like 25 properties in total. So that just gives you an idea of how that process works. And as an example for that one, say you're studying for a math test. You're not going to go and study science, history, geography, and math just to take that math test. You're going to study on the subject that you're being tested on. The same thing goes to real estate. You need to be specific for what properties you view and what properties you offer on and what properties you look at or what properties you even consider when starting and going through the entire process of your home search. Personally, I found the less is more when it comes down to showings and offers. Now, I do want to mention kind of halfway through the video here that it'll depend. Usually it's a variation of where you are on hitting the buyer fatigue spectrum. Obviously, there are buyers that have seen 50 properties and have not made a decision yet, and they're kind of probably very close to it. And there are others where, you know, you haven't seen that many properties, but you might also be kind of mentally exhausting yourself by viewing or talking about properties or analyzing deals that just won't work for you, right? If you're looking at 2 stories and bungalows and your mindset is, well, I'll take one or the other, it just depends on what price I get it for. Sure, that's a good mindset to have, but it's not what you're looking for. And even if you do end up getting that property for X amount of dollars and you get it for a good deal, you're probably going to regret it down the road because it's not what you initially started looking for, and it's probably outside of your criteria or your needs and wants. What we usually do is go on a set of discovery showings where we go see 3 to 4 different properties of all different variations and sizes and types, just to get a better idea of what these buyers might potentially be looking for. And after we go see these properties, right, detached, bungalow, condo, townhouse, like all different types of things, regarding what they want and what they need in their home search and what they're looking for in a property, we then sit down and analyze them and what works, what doesn't work, what they like, what they not like. And every new property going forward, when it comes up, before we go see it, we run it through this list to make sure that, number one, it's compatible, that we're not just going to see a property because it looks nice in the photos or the finishes look nice, because finishes can always be changed and upgraded, but what you can't change is the layout, the space, the neighborhood, obviously the type of property, who built it, different things like that. So in that case, we're not just going and viewing properties for the sake of viewing them. We make sure that the properties that we're seeing in person are real contenders for what works and what's suitable for these clients. Because if you're going and seeing almost every new listing that hits the market, there's a really good chance that you might push yourself to buyer burnout. And as mentioned, buyer burnout usually happens when it matters the most. So when a good batch of listings comes on, or when properties hit the market that actually work for you and we know they work for you, you're unmotivated to get in your car in the evening and go drive and see them because you've been doing that for the past 2 or 3 weeks and you just want to spend some time at home. And I think the majority of buyers subconsciously know the risks and damages that burnout or fatigue can cause in real estate. Obviously, you get knocked out of the market for a certain period of time, you come back, prices are higher, or the market's shifted. It was a buyer's market when you started looking, now it's a hardcore seller's market, or the stress test changed. On top of that, it could discourage you from buying altogether, which if you look at it on a longer term period, say you had the opportunity to buy, but you end up going back to renting for the next 5 to 7 to 10 years, and you could have owned within that period, that's a pretty big loss because you could have built up appreciation and equity in that property for that 5 to 10 year period that you were living in it as opposed to renting it. And finally, it can cause you to settle for less because after viewing 3 to 5 properties every day or every other day, you're just eventually going to get fed up with it. And you're going to say, you know what, I just want to buy something and settle down. I don't want to do showings anymore. You're going to compromise, you're going to get a property, but then after a couple months, you're probably going to start regretting it because you had to compromise or you sacrificed to get that property because you just were tired and you wanted to stop doing showings and all these different things. Had you shifted your mindset a little bit and maybe not viewed so many properties and been specific in what you looked at, you probably could have had more time to decide what you wanted to do, or you would have decided on a better property that works for you because you were specific to what you wanted and what you needed in your home search. So buyer fatigue is definitely something to consider when starting your home search or going through the process. That's why sometimes clients are surprised when they're like, hey, we want to go see 10 properties tomorrow. And we as real estate agents are saying, no, we are not going to go see 10 properties tomorrow. We're going to go see 4. We're going to go sit down and talk about them because we know that out of those 10 properties, there's a very good chance that not all 10 of them suit your needs. And even before seeing them, we should have a conversation about what you're looking for, what's a must-haves and what are compromises that we can work with so that we're not wasting anyone's time. Because I've worked with a fair amount of those types of buyers. For example, last year, we ended up seeing a lot of properties. I don't even remember how much. And that was in November 2020. They ended up they got buyer's fatigue. They ended up saying, you know what, we're just going to take a little bit of a break. 4 months later, January and February hit. And now what they were looking for in the $700,000 range, well, they could have bought that for like 500,000 or 600,000 back then. And at this point, I'm not sure that they're going to be buying at all. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out some of my other buying and selling tip videos. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in Barrie, Innisfil, Angus, or Muskoka, I'd love to connect. Feel free to reach out. I reply to every single email and do my best to take every single phone call. I rarely miss them, but when I do, I always make sure to call or text back, so feel free to reach out. And if you have Simcoe Real Estate on your mind, but you're not quite ready to pull the trigger just yet, consider subscribing to my weekly email where every week I do a market update for the city of Barrie. I'm going to start doing Simcoe probably in a little bit, but we look at the new freehold listings, sold freehold listings, new condo listings, sold condo listings, average days on market, average price, listing of the week, some content from me, photo of the week, just showcasing beautiful properties around Barrie. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check it out. Link is in the description below. And now I'm just gonna wait while these options pop up here and you decide to click one of them, or you decide to not click on any of them. So we can just kind of wait here while the timer runs out. Or you decide to click on one before we get to that point, but your call, totally.